I'm Macy Egland. We are following breaking news. We're getting an update now on the wind-driven fires that scorched part of the Pine Barrens. Suffolk County Executive Ed Romaine is giving us an update. Let's listen into that.
Of course, we start with our Congressman LaLota. Thank you so much. We start with the supervisor of Southampton. Give a little wave. Our police commissioner. Our two mayors. Mayor from Quark. Give a raise. Mayor from West Hampton. We have our DEC commissioner for the state of New York. We have the supervisor of the town of Brookhaven. We have a councilman from the town of Brookhaven. A county legislator. Ed, give a wave. Ed is our local county legislator. We have our local town council person. Give a wave. We have the state police. And I probably get a kick in the shin at my next Thanksgiving dinner if I didn't mention the state park police, because my cousin is married to a state park police officer that's here. So thank you. Thanks. We also have a whole host of law enforcement, from the Sheriff's Department to Suffolk County Police to a whole host of people. Our state police. Who else do we have out here?
Dishes.
Most important, the guy that was guiding this firefight all day yesterday is our Commissioner of Fire, Rescue, and Emergency Services, Rudy Sunderman. And he's going to speak right after me and the Congressman. So let me just tell you, this fire is about 80% contained. It burned about 700 acres. It started in Center Moriches and jumped to East Moriches and then Eastport and then the Dwarf Pine Barrens, all around this industrial park and airport. Our biggest concern, and if anyone drove here by Sunrise Highway, look at Sunrise Highway on the south side, you'll see all the burn marks there. We thought this fire would jump the highway, in which case we'd be in big problems, because that's where most of the Pine Barrens are. So with that, I can say thank you. We had about 80 fire departments. These are all volunteer fire departments in Suffolk. We had 10 EMS units respond. We had 2 industrial buildings that were damaged along this road from the fire. And we may have other damages that we are now beginning to assess that the fire has calmed down. But even now, there's about 20-mile-an-hour winds, 25 mile an hour winds. There were winds 35 miles an hour and above yesterday that drove this fire. There was also a lot of downed trees in this vicinity that fed this fire. And that's when you saw the huge clouds of smoke that engulfed this entire area. So we are in deep gratitude. Now, just so you know, because we're so focused on all of the issues and problems of this country, yesterday we got a call from President Trump's people. We got a call from the governor. We got a call from Senator Schumer, Congressman LaLota, who is with us today. We got a call from Mayor Adams and the county executive of Nassau County, who sent equipment that we put out at our fire academy if we needed it. Fortunately, we didn't need it because we had such a response from our volunteers. But I want to say that because sometimes we forget that in times of crisis, in times of danger, Americans can come together and can address problems. So my thank you particularly to the volunteers that all showed up, that helped us contain this fire. We are concerned because the winds are still blowing, that it might spark up again, and we have people out all over the place. And I want to thank the National Guard that did some water dumps. I want to thank the drones that we had up and the helicopters to spot the hot spots so we could direct them. They were live feeds to our firefighters on the ground. I want to thank them very much. So without any ado, I'm going to ask our Congressman and then our DEC Commissioner to say a few words. But this was a very big fire that could have created big problems if not for all of us coming together to solve it and address it. And it's still a concern, and we still have people out there, and we pray for their safety. As you know, one firefighter suffered second-degree burns on his face and was transported by helicopter to Stony Brook Hospital. Another firefighter suffered head injury and was taken to Peconic Medical Center. So, to the firefighters who put their lives at risk, men and women who serve our community, thank you. God bless you. It's one of the reasons that we're a lot safer today. And thank you to all my partners on the federal, state, county, and regional area that were willing to step in if we needed the help. So God bless you. Thank you. It shows what we can do when we work together. And this fire is not the threat that it was yesterday, because if you came down this road, you would be seeing clouds hundreds of feet in the air that they spotted from Connecticut, that this fire was burning so bright. And I cannot say thank you enough to those who served. Congressman.
Thanks, Ed. Thanks for your leadership, Ed. What a difference a day makes here today. Today is a much different day than yesterday because of our brave first responders here in Suffolk County. Regardless of what party you're from, we love and we appreciate our first responders for what they did. Almost 90 volunteer departments converged in this area to ensure life and property was protected, to ensure this fire didn't spread beyond about the 600 acres where it had been. A tremendous effort by officials of all levels of government, state, county, town, volunteers, villages, everybody in between, ensuring there was the proper response here in Suffolk County to ensure we were all protected. Like Ed said, the nation's looking at us, and the nation saw some of these flames on the TV yesterday. I got calls and texts from my colleagues from Indiana and California and elsewhere, regardless of party, concerned about how we here in Suffolk County are doing. And I told them, you know what? These first responders left the safety and comfort of their homes, their families, what they were doing to ensure that we were all safe, and gave them that confidence as well. And what we're seeing here today, the tremendous response and hopefully the almost near total containment of the area will come to us soon. So proud about the work that our first responders have done, Ed's leadership, and everybody else who pitched in. Thanks so much, Mr. County Executive.
Thank you, and we have our DEC Commissioner.
Thank you so much, County Executive. I really want to thank everyone that is here today. It's really an incredible effort. As you all know, Governor Hochul immediately put the state into response and made resources available at the county's control. We've been here. We have a multi-agency response from many state agencies, and want to recognize Matt Franklin from Dishes, who's also here and available, who's helping to really run the state's efforts here. We have our forest rangers on the scene that have been walking the perimeter, that have a full assessment of the fire to really ensure that we are getting this under control, and we can say confidently that the fire is under control, and we're working hard on a full containment around the area. In addition, we're helping to coordinate air resources. We're very grateful for the additional air resources from the National Guard and others to ensure that we have bucket drops that are continuing to go. We're remaining really vigilant on air quality monitoring. At this time, we're not seeing any increased threat from air quality. The wind is dispersing much of the particulate matter, but we're going to remain vigilant and really encourage people, if you smell smoke, if you're in an area, please go indoor, wear masks, please take precautions to ensure that you are safe in those particular regions. And finally, just want to again emphasize the really amazing work that's here on the ground, and just the continued support from the Department of Environmental Conservation, as well as the rest of the state agencies that are represented here today. We're here to help. We're going to continue to be here until this is contained.
Thank you, Commissioner. And the man that coordinated all of this, Rudy Sunderman, our Commissioner of Fire, Rescue, and Emergency Management.
Thank you.
Rudy, they want you to spell your name.
My name's Rudy Sunderman, Sunderman. Can I get the Assistant Chief, Lewis Scott, to stand next to me as well? Lewis Scott also was is the incident commander of the alarm. So, Lewis, if you could stand next to me. So yesterday around 1 p.m. is when the fires initially started, and it started in the Santa Mauritius Fire District. Now there are 4 separate fires. It was Santa Mauritius, East Mauritius, Eastport, and then out here in West Hampton. This is known as the West Hampton Pines Fire, as we're calling it today, and it's approximately 400 acres. We're coming up with it as we speak today. Yesterday, as we spoke to you, it was 80% knocked down. Today, we're 100% knocked down, and we're at 22% contained of the fire in the area that we're at today. So knockdown refers to all visible fire. As you know, you don't see any visible fire as we speak. Containment refers to the creation of a fire break around the perimeter. As you heard, we have DEC here, we have the county here, we have Southampton Town DPW, and we're working on the fire containment lines around the outside of the fire. So we're currently doing that as we speak today, working together with multiple jurisdictions and agencies to work on that. And fire department and EMS is also on scene assisting, as you know. As you heard from everybody speaking, we had over 90 fire department EMS agencies on scene with over 600 fire personnel and EMS that responded yesterday to help with the knockdown and the response to this alarm. As the county executive said, we had 2 injuries. Both fire personnel were treated and released from area hospitals and have been sent home and in recovery at this point. At this time, I'm going to turn it over to the fire chief. Chief Lewis.
Hi, good morning. My name is Lewis Scott, Lewis. Last name Scott, Scott. I'm the second assistant chief of the West Hampton Beach Fire Department. On behalf of Chief Larry Cicente, just some real quick thank yous. Firstly, to my department members, they did a great job. The nearly 100 mutual aid departments that we had come help us. Appreciate them. West Hampton EMS and Chief Bancroft. And all their support was great. Southampton PD, the town officials from Southampton, New York State Police, Suffolk County Sheriff, Suffolk County PD, West Hampton Beach Police Department, all our county and state agencies as well. So as they talked about the fire containment, at the 22%, the knockdown is 100% at this time, which we're happy with. The fire has not grown in size since 6 a.m. Our actions today is we went in, we went through, found some hot spots with 6 mutual aid companies, and knocked most of that down. Out there now is no fire departments or brush trucks at this time. The New York State DEC Forest Rangers and their personnel are doing it. We are prepared to respond back. The weather is still a very significant concern and threat to us. We're hoping for some moisture to come in with this. It's not looking like that in the very near future, so that's a concern, but we are prepared to respond back into the woods in a firematic sense. But for now, it's going to be in the hands of the DEC and their personnel, and we're ready to assist them at any time.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Helping us, of course, Southampton Police, the Sheriff's Department, and our own Suffolk County Police. And I believe we have the Suffolk County Police Commissioner here. Commissioner? Yep. Where are you? Ah, there he is. Got a jacket.
Yes. Good morning. Thank you, sir. So we have 25 detectives that are working on trying to determine the origin of the fire. We have drones up assessing the area and again trying to figure out where this fire started. We also have our arson detectives going up in the helicopters, also trying to figure out how this all started. We're interviewing all 911 callers. And we're going to get to the bottom of what happened. At this time, it's too early to tell whether or not this fire was started naturally or there's some nefarious origin. But we are going to get to that, and we should have an answer within the next couple of days.
Thank you so much. We're going to have the Southampton supervisor speak for a moment. Maria.
Thank you, Mr. County Executive. We're just so grateful to the coordinated effort and speedy response of all the first responders. We could, made such a difference. It was remarkable to see. And I just want to remind people that the burn ban, the recreational burn ban, is still in effect, as is the state of emergency. So please cooperate with those restrictions. Thank you.
Thank you. And on the other side of the line, the Brookhaven Supervisor, Dan Panico.
Thank you, Ed. And I want to say thank you to all of our first responders. This was a combined effort, and while the wind fanned these flames and made the fire tougher to put out, the wind also for the town of Brookhaven, although we are sorry for what occurred in Southampton, was fortuitous, because had this wind blown to the southwest, this fire would have ravaged through potentially Eastport, the business district, Manorville, with a ton of homes, East Moriches. It could have been a very different fire had it gone into Brookhaven town. We're thankful that did not occur, and we're thankful for everybody and their coordinated effort led by our county executive, to help save the day and prevent this from becoming the fire of 95 again. Thank you all.
Thank you. We all have bad memories from 95, which we had a terrible fire that burned for over a week, almost 10 days. And almost in the same area, except the difference is, and you can see it when you drive Sunrise Highway, it hit the southern part of Sunrise Highway, but then it jumped the highway. In 95, it jumped the highway and burned to the north as well as to the south. So we were very lucky. Thank you to all the volunteers. Everyone here, including our county legislator, giveaway man, and our town councilman, our two councilmen from Brookhaven and from Southampton. Everyone here helped. And I cannot say thank you enough to all. This was a combined effort. And we are still vigilant because at any time, and you're standing out here, so I don't have to tell you, the winds are about 20, 25 miles an hour with a gust. Any of those embers can reunite, can ignite, and set this fire up again. That's why we're showing vigilance for the next day or two to make sure that it's down. Rudy and all the volunteer firefighters and the EMS people did a great job. So thank you again. I think this is the time we take questions.
You got questions? One at a time, yeah.
Yeah.
You're the police commissioner.
DC Commissioner.
Hi. Is it correct that a certain amount of burn in the Pine Barrens is helpful?
So the question was if a certain amount of burn in the Pine Barrens is helpful. And I think if there's any bright spot, it's the fact that the Pine Barrens is in fact a fire-dependent system. So we will see some reflourish, we'll see some regrowth that will come from this.
Sorry to stop the room. Can you speak behind the microphone? Those are our mics.
Right here.
Thank you very much.
You got it. So to answer the question, the Pine Barrens is a fire-dependent system. So much of the ecosystem, the plant life, do depend on fire, in fact, in order to have regrowth and to flourish. So we won't expect that we're going to see any major impacts to the ecosystem based off of this fire. We'll actually see a rebound in the ecosystem long term.
Can we talk a little bit about the impact of the pine beetle and the damage that has caused out in the pine barrens?
So we are working very closely. The Department of Environmental Conservation is working very closely with our partners at the county and many different places to ensure that we are working on managing the southern pine beetle. We don't see that the southern pine beetle was a big impact specifically for this fire. However, we are making sure that we are getting out ahead of that. Prescribed burn is a potential use and a tool to help control those impacts, because largely what occurs is that the southern pine beetle will result in some dead trees, which will obviously be fuel to the fire. So while we don't see that as a major issue for this particular fire, it is something that we are proactively working on with the county and others to ensure that we have good plans in place to continue to seek to manage this and real investments there. County Exec?
Tens of thousands of pine trees, tens of thousands of pine trees are dead. The southern pine beetle, some people would talk about climate change because they weren't here, but they came here 10 years ago, and over the last 10 years, tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of trees are dead. And right now, our only answer to the southern pine beetle is to chop down the tree. I would hope that there's an entomologist out there that could figure out a way that we could eradicate this, because it's killing the Pine Barrens. This is my 12th year on the Pine Barrens Commission, besides being county executive, and I am gravely concerned about the health and survival of the Pine Barrens as a result of that. We will be having a seminar over at Suffolk Community College the end of April, dedicated just to be talking about the southern pine beetle, because it is a major concern for those who care about the health of and all you have to do is drive along. Go out to Amagansett on the way to Montauk, take a look at how many dead trees there are. There are dead trees all over because of this. So while it may not have been a major contributing factor, nevertheless, should a fire start up, these trees are dead. They've been dead for a while. They're fodder for a fire. So we're concerned about fires, and we're also concerned about the health of the Pine Barrens ecosystem.
Carolyn.
Thank you. Commissioner Catalina, can I just ask you a question about the investigation?
I'm up here.
Sure.
Would you deem it, because the fire started in 4 different locations at around the same time, would you consider it suspicious?
We don't know that the fire started at 4 different locations. It was so windy yesterday that it's quite possible that the fire started at one location and because of the wind jumped to other locations. So we haven't made that determination yet, but we are investigating it. Like I said, we brought in 25 detectives this morning to get to the bottom of it, so we'll know soon.
I have a follow-up to that. You mentioned a number of resources that you're deploying to determine or rule out whether it was arson. What are your detectives looking for? What are you looking for as you're putting the drones in the air as well? What stands out to you?
Well, we're going to interview every 911 caller. We're doing an extensive video canvas, so we're going to do everything we would do in a traditional investigation to try to determine whether or not a crime was committed. We're also super concerned about as the county executive said, the conditions out there, the continued wind. So, God forbid this was started by somebody. We want to make sure that it doesn't happen again. So that's why I have so many people on it, and I'm very confident that they're going to get to the bottom of it.
Rudy, Kevin.
Commissioner Sunderman, could you explain the containment level, and could you also tell us when you anticipate reaching 100% containment? Also, you said it was in the 20s. The county executive said about 80%. Could you explain the distinction?
Yeah. 80% was the fire knockdown last night. Like I was saying, we're at 100% knockdown, as the chief said today. We're at 22% containment as we speak right now, and we're going to continue throughout the day. And if we have to come back tomorrow to reach that 100% containment, that's with our bulldozers and payloaders from all operations and agencies going around the perimeter, ensuring 100% of containment of the fire. So we'll be working throughout today until dusk, and then back at it again tomorrow.
Did they work through the night putting it down? Or
No, we will not be working through the night.
Last
night there was, as per Chief Scott, we did have fire department operations on premise last night, and they were hitting all hot spots throughout the night as needed.
Were there any structure damage, and how long do you think it's going to take for the environment to be restored?
I'm going to have Chief Scott talk about the structures, because he was the incident commander. He could give that information. Sorry, Chief. I love you, but...
Put you on the spot.
No worries. The question again is, any structures damaged in the second half?
Structural damage, and how long will it take to restore the environment?
The second half of your question, I'm going to refer over to the DEC. The first half was there was only 2 commercial buildings. For them, it was unfortunate. When I say only, I'm not trying to minimize the impact to them, but it was only 2 commercial buildings. One suffered significant damage. One was fairly destroyed. So beyond that, there was no residential homes that were damaged in any means. We didn't, thankfully, even have to evacuate the residential areas. Right behind us, across the street, is a community that was hard impacted in the '95 wildfire, but thankfully this time it was spared. So as the structures go, 2 commercial buildings, 1 fully destroyed, and 1 with significant damage. And the second half of your question, I'll pass over to the Commissioner.
Thank you. First, I want to, as I answer this question, actually really acknowledge we've got Forest Ranger Brian Gallagher, who's really been leading our ranger operations here at the scene and doing a fantastic job. So he can jump in to correct me if I say anything wrong here, as always. But essentially, we should see really quick results that will happen. So as soon as that first rainfall happens, you'll start to see some green come back. Over the next couple of years, you'll start to see trees starting to regrowth. So it's really, again, as a fire-dependent ecosystem, this actually is what helps the pine barrens actually regrow and get more healthy over time. So you should see some pretty immediate results over time, and then over the next couple of years, you'll actually see the tree growth.
My question is for either of the fire chiefs. You mentioned that 2 firefighters unfortunately suffered some injuries. Can you detail the types of risks that these men and women encounter as they're going to fight these fires?
So firefighters encounter danger no matter what fire they have. I would never want to just say it's at brush fires. It could be a residential structure fire to a motor vehicle accident to a brush fire. So, firefighters and EMS workers' lives are on the line day in and day out, whether whatever we do in our career, you know, because we're professional volunteer firefighters. Any day that we perform our jobs on the line for our residents, whether any county that we are, but you know, our lives are on the line day in and day out because it's very an important job to serve and protect our community. You know, we do it for pride.
And love of community.
Love of community, correct.
Anybody else?
Is there any kind of controlled burn done last season to help mitigate the spread of the fire?
Brian, you want to take this
Brian?
one?
Yeah.
Brian Gallagher, State Forest Ranger with the New York State DEC. The controlled burns that we do right now, over the past 4 or 5 years, we've been planning. What we typically do, we work in concert with our partners who are dealing with the southern pine beetle infestation. And the way that we deal with that is by thinning those forests. The less trees in the forest, the more resilient the remaining trees are to fight off the bug. Southern pine beetle is not an invasive pest from overseas. It came from southern United States. So we've done some work here in the county. We've done work around Rocky Point, protecting communities up there, and we've also done some work in Flanders, protecting communities there over the past 3 or 4 years.
And that's in concert with the Pine Barrens Commission.
In concert with the Pine Barrens Commission, absolutely.
Not here in West Hampton.
Not in West Hampton. We just had a burn plan approved in the fall. We do have a burn plan planned for just east of here to protect the communities along Route 104.
Be interesting to see if anything unexplored.
All right, we're good. Thanks, everyone.
Unexplored and exploded things that they used in World War II blow up as you burn.
All right, state and Suffolk officials giving us an update on those brush fires. The 4 fires, they say, are now under control. They are still working to achieve full containment by working around the edges and putting out some hot spots. Ultimately, those flames, those 4 separate fires, burned about 600 to 700 acres. About 80 volunteer fire departments and 10 EMS teams were involved. That's over 600 volunteers working to put out these flames and help the people involved there. 2 firefighters were injured. 2 commercial buildings we know were damaged. They're now assessing if there are any other damages now that the flames are under control. 25 detectives are now being brought in to determine what caused those fires. They say they are interviewing 911 callers. They're using helicopters. They're using drones to survey the area, try to find out whether it was a naturally caused or potentially arson was involved. They're looking into it. They're hoping to have an answer in the next couple of days. The state DEC is now taking over for the rest of this firefight. They are keeping an eye on air quality. They say, though, most of the smoke is being blown away by the heavy winds that we are still experiencing, those gusts. Just a reminder, there is a recreational burn ban still in effect, but again, 25 Suffolk detectives working to figure out how these fires started. So for the very latest updates on these fires, be sure to go to our website, newsday.com, click Get More below the Newsday TV video box.